because there is 0% chance you have a fat person stop in the middle of a street to tie his shoe. It's not gonna happen.
Won't catch me slipping if I'm actually thinking you're acting different. Manic spitting sounds of manic depressant.
All right, let's talk about another thing that skinny people can't relate to. I do want to talk about
shoes. Talk about shoes real quick.
That was the one I was about to go to. Listen, we're fast, so we know exactly what's finna happen here. We know exactly what we finna talk about with shoes right now.
Yeah.
A thing skinny people cannot relate to is trying on sneakers. There's other things about trying on sneakers too, about sneakers generally that we're going to talk about in a second. Trying on sneakers. And what do we mean by trying on sneakers? And Fred, I might be wrong. I think we're going to be on the same page here. When you're trying on sneakers and you begin profusely sweating because you're too fat to bend over and get this bitch on your foot, you cannot relate to that fucking feeling. You know what I mean?
When you bend over, your stomach fat is like pushing on your diaphragm. You're like squishing your diaphragm, and you're like, hey. That's like that's the big one, right? That's when you're doing like some really excessive shoe shopping. Like, and by me, it's successful. You're just trying on 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, right?
It's the most ab work you're gonna get for the week. I promise you.
And let's be real though. Also, when you're big, you got to do a lot more work to that shoe to put your foot in it.
You got to pull the strings as far as they may go.
Yeah.
You may not be able to tie the shoe at the end of this experience. I promise you that. That's a good point. That's another thing you're not related to. So let's talk about it, because this is like putting a car engine together when you're trying on a shoe. When you're a fat person, the first thing most fat people do before they sit down is pull their shirt down a little. You got to stretch it down a little bit.
Yeah. You're going to be plumber action.
As soon as you bend over,
you got to have your back to the wall.
You're putting your back to the shoe wall, and you're looking out, right?
Right.
And you sit in a way where you essentially flex your triceps, right? Because you want to stretch your body out so that you can get a good fold at the hip. Right? Yeah. You don't want to get the fold in the diaphragm because you're not going to get any distance. You know what I mean? You're not going to get no distance here.
You know what? I've been ignorant enough to, like, if I'm lazy enough, like, I'll just jam my foot up in that.
Oh, you're doing this shit right. You can't see me, but you know what I'm
creasing it, because I'm like, you know what? I know this is probably not going to fit me. I'm going to try.
Correct.
I crease that bad boy up. I'm like, oh, I give it back.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And then if you have, let's say you got like khaki shorts on, right?
Yeah.
You gotta hike them bitches up because you need your legs in a flying V formation so that you can fit a space for your stomach to fit while your body is bending over. You know what I mean? Right. You're gonna unloose. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
My thing, and this is where I get frustrated. This is one of the frustrating things for me, because now this is a style that's becoming more common, is like the fixed tongue, you know, where it's like a sock, and them shoes look so comfortable, but my foot does not fit in the hole.
It's not an option for fat people. That is not an option.
Yeah, and I got my foot in one time into one of like a pair of Adidas things. Oh, remember the store I was telling you about that?
Yeah.
Overtime.
Yeah.
Check it out if you still haven't. But I got my foot in one of them, and like it was an Adidas with Boost, because I love that material.
For sure,
bro. My foot went in it, but then it looked like it was like and they were comfortable, but the sock was tight.
Yeah.
So like you were seeing, it was squishing my skin. So I'm like,
oh, it looked like
you know, like a muffin.
Yeah, like
you
a
know,
muffin top.
I was getting the muffin.
You got a muffin top. Yeah.
Like I never knew I could get a muffin top on my foot.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And I was like, man, these things are mad comfortable, but they're not giving the effect, you know, that like that aesthetic that you look for when you put on. It's not supposed to be that tight.
Correct. No, that's the athletic shoes. If you play basketball and are a fat person, you're really limited to the type of sneakers you're not buying an athlete sneaker, pretty much, if you're fat, because every athlete sneaker is is designed for thin-footed, not flat. Most fat people are flat-footed, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know many fat people who don't have flat feet. And if they don't have flat feet, it doesn't matter. Their feet are pancaked to the ground because there's just a lot more weight carrying them the fuck around. You know, my feet are essentially two square stands that are holding my legs up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of options when it comes to athletic footwear and athleisure generally. You know what I mean? It can be hard. Like, it can be hard finding workout clothes generally. Well, I guess that's a whole other thing. But to sneakers, trying on the sneaker, you're going to have to untie the shoe all the way to slide your foot in that bitch. You're going to be sweating. It's like 100% chance. Is there a chance time you can remember trying on a shoe where you weren't sweating, trying it on?
No.
No, it happens all the time.
If it won't happen if it's one shoe that I know is gonna fit me, it won't. But if I'm trying on shoes with a plural, it's gonna happen. You're gonna sweat.
Yeah. I'm sweating like I'm trying to stop a bomb from going off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Almost because I think some of it is anxiety that I'll never not be embarrassed trying on shoes.
Part of it is anxiety, and you're trying to do something quick.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're trying to
hastily,
It's annoying to
Correct.
loosen up the shoe.
Correct.
And then for it not to fit, you're like, oh my gosh. And then, you know, and not only that, but so we have with trying on clothes, but let's talk about leaning. You know, when you got some sneakers, within a little bit, like I can't wear Air Forces because they're gonna be leaning.
They're leaning immediately.
Leaning. Like,
they're gonna lean immediately.
And what that means for those who don't know is that your big people weigh so much that it's basically pushing your feet out this way out of the shoe. So like when you change direction, you're stretching out that material to where it's like peeking over the sole.
Yeah, yeah. Right? You essentially have Air Force One calling for help. You know what I mean? It's calling your Air Force One is calling the Pentagon. Like, we gotta, you know what I mean? We need help.
It's doing this. It's doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like it's going back. It's going back. It's turning around.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. You know, like, and you know it doesn't look good. It's not, and you know, depending on the shoe, you know, it might start doing that early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's like it's annoying and it's uncomfortable. It's not good for your feet.
No, it's terrible.
Your pinky toes, you know, looking over the ledge.
Correct. Your heel's gonna hurt. Like, we need inserts pretty much in all of our sneakers. There's no options. You feel me?
Yeah.
The sole of whatever shoe you're gonna buy, like I've bought Walmart shoes. Like, I remember I bought a pair of Walmart, like their knockoff Converse shoes because we were going somewhere and I just needed something quick.
Same thing. Yeah.
And the next day I could not walk. I was unable to walk. My entire heel was just in the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Like, my heel had cancer for a day.
You know, it's crazy. Funny you said, I bought a pair of because when I went on vacation to California last year, we went like hiking. And of course, I didn't bring like any good sneakers.
Yeah.
Like, I brought like sneakers for looks, not for like getting.
You don't have no LL Beans in the tuck.
Yeah.
You know
so then, So then I was like, all right, let's go to Walmart. I'm gonna buy it. So, you know, I had these. I just threw them out, but I had these not Boost but Bounce. Like
yeah.
You know, like, and we were talking about because you like them too.
Correct.
And it was the same style, the same style as a shoe. So I was like, oh, you know, I love it. I put it, and I was like, it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
I'm gonna still rock out, dude. My back was hurting, my leg, my knees, like, it is, you know, it was bad. But that and they're like, they're so cheap, you know, and they start already leaning within a little bit of time.
And that's another thing to that point, what skinny people won't understand about shoes generally for fat people. We know early how much your shoes can contribute to the rest of your body when you're doing other things. Like, skinny, like, remember the boy on my block that I grew up with? Shout out to Summer Rack, him, who's out there. I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but he's probably high as a kite somewhere. I'm sorry, he doesn't deserve that. Remember, he used to play basketball in chancletas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a skinny people thing. Y'all can just show up at a basketball court with chancletas on and be fine.
Yeah.
If we do that, we know that we're unable to sit down for the rest of the day because the next time we stand up, our knee will no longer work. You know what I mean? Our knee will shut down working. We know early on how, like, good sneakers affect our leg health and our backs.
You know what? You're right, though, too. And with the chancleta game,
No.
The thing is, so many people do their normal activities in chancletas, right? Like they'll wear slides all over the place. I can't do that because if I need to pick up the pace, those slides are not built to be, you know,
I could hardly
having
slide
a
my
bunch
foot.
of my weight sliding all up in there.
Correct. I couldn't slide my foot all the way in that bitch. If it's not adjustable, I got chancletas that Lucas bought me. God bless him. You know what I mean? So I'm never not going to use them. You know what I mean? But they're not adjustable. So my foot only goes so far inside of them. I don't have the option for the sock in there. You feel me?
Like
it's not
Cinderella.
Like correct.
When they couldn't fit the glass slipper.
The wrong turn and I'm going down these steps and the chancleta staying at the top. You feel me?
Looking at you, judging you.
Correct. Yeah. Why did you think this was going to work? The other thing about shoes is there's a reason why you probably see a lot of fat people out there with untied shoes, because there is 0% chance you have a fat person stop in the middle of a street to tie his shoe. It's not going to happen. You feel me? It's not going to happen. No fat person on the planet is finna take time out of their day to go through what it takes, because sometimes you're fat. Like me, I've reached the point where I am able to I don't need to the bend is not hard. I can do a squat, tie my shoe, be up and gone, right? But when I was heavier, I had to do hand on the wall, knee, get down, and come over on this side and begin tying. And it's a whole thing. Like, it's a fucking thing. You know what I mean? Skinny people, they be seeing their shoes untied. They do shit like stand on one leg like a stork and tie their shoe while that's not like you skinny people, you would not know what it's like for a fat person to find out their shoe was untied, because that just means that's how they're going to be for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? They're finna just have untied shoes for the rest of today.
And look, and this is not to say that, you know, this is just what we go through. So when you see this, you know, it's not like that we're hating on you. We want to be you. You know, so
I'm hating. I'm
hating on
fuck you for flexing. You feel me? Oh, you can't tie your shoe? Hold on, watch this real quick. You know what I mean? Fuck out of here, boy.
Yeah, no, definitely the shoes, you know, is the biggest one. Because you know why? Because like I can go into a shoe store. Like I'm not gonna go into like trying on shirts, you know.
No.
And you don't try shoes on in private.
Yeah,
you know,
correct.
you do that in public. So then there's like more, you know, you could have anxiety.
Yeah.
And even with that too, you know, like I love those Nike Tempos, those Pippins.
Yeah.
I love them. They're
for sure.
I had them back when they came out.
Yep.
And I have them now, and they're just so comfortable. Partly because they're good for wide feet.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't wear that shoe with everything. Like it's a very chunky shoe.
Yep.
So you can't, like, it's not gonna look right if you wear certain type of clothes or whatever. So, you know, other shoes that aren't as big, they would be nicer, but if your foot can't fit in them, it's a wrap.
You're right. You're fucked up. And along the same thing is cutting toenails for fat people. It's a thing. Yeah. Like that's a whole.
You're blind. You're going on the blind.
You're catching skin a few times down there. Like you may leave a trail of blood when you're done cutting your toenails. You know,
you're like a mechanic. You're like you're just like putting your hand in there and figuring out what you're going by feel.
Let me see. Oh, this nail's long. Let me hit this joint up real quick.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Listen, as a recovering fat person, I know all the pain about being fat. All right, let's talk.
Won't catch me slipping if I'm actually thinking you're acting different. Mad spitting sounds of manic depressant going through.